What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And with me is always my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with the plan, the one and only. That's right, the one and only. You know who it is. The man who reps the orange and blue just like me. We're done with the green and white for the season, but don't worry, we're going to keep up with the Jets as well. But we're here to talk about Knicks today. You know who it is. My man, the one and only John Meleka. What up, John? How are you doing today?
What up, man? What up, man? We're finally back talking Knicks. It feels like a month since I've discussed the Knicks. I think since the Pistons game or the Wizards game, I haven't been on here since. So I have a lot. We have a lot to talk about, especially the last couple days. We're in a weird spot here, getting some wins here. We have turmoil everywhere from the fans to the team, and then we have the trade deadline sneakily coming right up, man. So I'm ready to get into this, man. I'm ready. I'm ready for the Knicks season. Do we say it starts Christmas? We say NBA starts Christmas. I feel like I've just got oriented since since Christmas came back. So I'm ready, man. The season started. I'm headed to the Garden. Maybe 2 out of the next 4 games, maybe 3 out of the next 4 games. So we'll see. Let's get this going.
Let's go, man. Yeah, you've been gone you were gone for out in Kenya doing your thing. So it was just me by myself holding it down. So you had to catch yourself back up, dive yourself back into Knicks Twitter, read all of Begley's, Bondi's, Mr. Katz, Mr. Berman out there just to get yourself up to speed. What the hell has been going on around here?
Listen, dude.
What?
The NFL board was so clear after come back from Africa. We killed it on both like pick'em leagues this week and winning picks weekly. We killed it for all the spreads. I mean, things are looking clear after a little hiatus. So I'm ready to talk Knicks, man. Let's get into this.
That's what we need, man. We're gonna need your clear brain to get through all of this today.
It's
but
crazy.
John, it's not just us today. It's not just our video producer Greg who's with us today as well. We got a phenomenal guest, a returning guest. You guys, if you listen to this podcast back in June, July, around there, we had this man on to break down what we saw from the New York Knicks season and just to kind of wrap up the season, especially from the playoffs. We got to welcome back Steve Delakian, founder, CEO, creator of Spacely Media for the Bacher Back pages. When you go on Twitter, when you go on Reddit, this is the man that's doing it all. Steve, how you doing, my man? How you doing today?
Shit. I'm good. I had to drop a year, but I'm good, man. It feels good to be back with you guys. One of my top listened to podcasts, actually, I'll let you know. I got that 2021 year summary. You guys came in at number 5, but in your defense, you guys don't put out like every day. You know what I mean? Like Knicks Fan TV or whatever. My point being, pound for pound, I'm listening to you guys like crazy, man. So it's good to be back.
Appreciate it, bro. That
Alex
means a lot
fan,
to us, man.
Alex Fan TV is
Alex Fan TV. Not at all, man. It's a team effort. I'm glad that you listen to us, man. That really means a lot to us, man. It really does.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Don't worry, man. We're rapid. We're cranking up this season. We're going to be doing 2 Knicks episodes now instead of just 1. So it's coming. It's coming.
Perfect,
there you
man.
go.
Perfect.
Now that we're done with the Jets, but Steve, how you been, man? How let me just get it into you right now, man, because you're putting out the fire content, especially when the Knicks win. That all of it just circulates. Okay, your Cameron, RJ Barrett one with the what was it the purple haze one that you did that was fire.
Maple haze.
Thank
exactly.
you.
Had to drop a little French Fontana in there too. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. It's been good, man. I'm just continuing to do what I've been doing and just continuing to put my fandom on display, and I'm getting better at Photoshop. I'm learning on the fly. I'm putting more hours into it, and I'm just trying to make this thing grow. So the support's been awesome. It hasn't been the best season that we've ever had. It's not quite as magical yet as it was around the time I started last year and kind of like, carried through. So I'm waiting for that to come back, but I'm confident. I feel good. And I think, now there's some things going on. I know we're going to talk about all of that, but there's some buzz. Man. There's some buzz. We're back.
Lots of things. But that's awesome, man. And we see it too, man. When your detail and your artwork it really comes through, man. The growth that your content has had over just even a short 6 months, bro. We're talking about 6 months since the last time you've been on here. It's amazing, bro. You keep learning, you keep pushing, keep grinding, bro. You're doing phenomenal work out there. We appreciate it. We're always retweeting it. We love everything that you do. But I mean, let's get into the meat and bones of this podcast, man. Because before we get into Mr. Randle, who is brought on more fans in more ways than one. Let me ask you this: how are you feeling about the season so far? Before we really dive deep into this, how are you feeling?
I mean, not to, I started with a sigh, so I guess that's kind of indicative a little bit of what we're going through. But I'll say it's been up and down. It's been a roller coaster. There's been highs and lows. We started off so strong. There was so much promise. I almost thought that the content would suffer because like the games were going to be so boring. We were going to be blowing out teams. Like that's what that first week felt like. I mean, we were up like 5-1. I think we got out to that 5-1 start, if I'm not mistaken. Right. And things were just looking great. And I mean, of course, any team's going to hit bumps in the road. But when we hit these bumps, it seems like they've really lingered and they've kind of perpetuated into bigger issues. And there's been a little bit of like toxicity even with it. But honestly, I think these players are going to come together. I think, there's been some excusable things throughout the course that have kind of like kept us from getting on track. But I think now people are starting to heat up and it might connect the way we needed to.
We needed to, man. We need this team to start jiving because look, if it's not one thing, it's another with this team when it comes to the media, when it comes to players and how they feel, especially with Julius Randle and his comments to the fans. Obviously that's not great, but are you feeling like that promise is about to, are you feeling like this team's about to make that turn? Like how are you, where's your stance on this team right now?
So, I mean, it definitely starts with Julius Randle and just sort of seeing how he responds over the next few games. I mean, he definitely put his back against the wall. Now these trade rumors are popping up. And I know we're going to get into some of that later, but it's not a great sign. It's definitely, there's some turmoil building up. But I do see French Montana as a French. Now I'm like just calling him French Montana, but I see Evan Fournier turning it around. I see RJ Barrett's like our leading scorer in like 4 of our last 5 games, if I'm not mistaken. Those are good signs, and we want to see him build consistency, and that's what he's starting to do. And he had those injuries and stomach bug and whatever else was going on. So the deck has been stacked against him, but those are promising things. We drafted well. Those players are giving us good contributions. So there is a silver lining, and I'm always looking for it. And I'm sure you guys are too, but we can't disregard the negativity as well.
Sure. And I don't even say like there is like negative. There's definitely improvement for this team. There's definitely room for growth and improvement. And I think we try to do a fair job in like trying to give critique, like constructive criticism, not just slander. Like we're not just trying to slander players out here just for the sake of slandering players. But I think when you watch these games and you are just, there's now just an expectation. So when you're critiquing these games after a magical season like last season, you're expecting something competent of the same effort, of the same product that we saw last season, and anything that's less, even though they're getting wins, it's got to be called out. But before we get further into that, let me do this ad read. We got to pay the bills around here. All right, guys, look, keep saying this. We're partnered with Fansided. Who owns Fansided? Minute Media. Who else does Minute Media own? The Players Tribune. And over at the Players Tribune, they got this phenomenal podcast that just came out called Blindsided. Blindsided is hosted by former NHL goalie Corey Hirsch and psychiatrist Dr. Diane McIntosh. This show will share the moments for a variety of athletes when everything changed for them and mental health became the most important focus of their lives. This allows listeners to have an understanding of the different types of mental health challenges people face, whether that's PTSD, addiction, sudden life changes, panic attacks, and much more. So guys, you got to go check this out because guess what? They've also brought on guests such as Kevin Love, Paul Bisonet, and Kurt Warner. So make sure to go over to the Players Tribune or go search your podcast platform to use, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, so forth. You can go find Blindsided over there. And I will say this: just listen to the Paul Bisonet one. My God, like the truly like phenomenal work, like getting to understand how he was so young becoming and having to grow up to become a man so quickly, and just dealing with anxiety and just social pressures and having to do things that we won't mention on this podcast, of like what men who are like 20 plus are doing, like whether it's drinking or whatever. Like he goes into that, and how he has to overcome like peer pressure, just like PTSD, as I already stated. Like he goes into depth about all these things. So guys, make sure to go check it out. Great conversations, very therapeutic. But let's get back to it, guys. Steve, you've been alluding to it, with Mr. Julius Randle. He is the captain of this team by default. He is the leader, right? Even though he doesn't have a C on his chest, even though he hasn't been formally announced as captain, like Patrick Ewing was, or whoever. Like he is the leader of this team because he is the highest paid. He is the most improved from last season. He did make all NBA second team. He was an NBA All-Star as well. So all of that put together, his resume by default makes him that leader. And we're not really seeing that. And we saw that last week where he had something to say to the fans. Shut the flip up. Because he's been hearing the comments. He's been hearing the criticisms. He's not a fan of it, and he's telling us to be quiet. But after telling us to be quiet, didn't have really two good games. In Boston, put up a stinker. Last night, put up another stinker against the Spurs. So, John, I'm gonna cut it over to you first and get your thoughts on it. You've been a little quiet for me. What are your thoughts on Mr. Julius Randle so far, especially with those comments to the fans?
Well, first of all, I love that Steve started off with a little RJ Barrett, because last time, like when I was here last, I was a little worried about RJ. He was putting up some mediocre numbers day by day, game by game, and it was illegal to talk bad about RJ Barrett at the time, right? I'm glad that we're over that. I'm glad that he's over that. He has been absolutely dominant. He's finally finishing at the rim, which was a huge issue at the time. So he was always getting to the rim, just could not finish layups, like 6 missed layups, which opens up the floor, right? When you start getting those in the mid-range, he's playing in that space. So that's awesome. Getting to your question now with Randle. Sheesh, man. Just a couple of weeks ago, everything was fine. Like he wasn't doing great. Right, he did regress into maybe not the most improved year, the year before that, Randle, right, where we were asking a little too much of him. He was shooting a lot, field goal percentage wasn't there. He would still get the points, fill up the stat board regardless. You know what I mean? And he'd have his on and off nights, but you could tell he wasn't going to like those baseline shots anymore that were automatic. Right. And you could tell that he was maybe dribbling in maybe not doing a spin move, but he's still dribbling into traffic, and it's becoming a turnover every time. But I don't know what happened that like it's regressed so bad. Like, is he literally jealous, guys? Like, is that what you're telling me? Is he jealous that people were chanting RJ Barrett's name? Like, I don't even know what triggered this. I have no idea why we're here, but nevertheless, we are here. It's a really interesting spot to be with 1 month before the trade deadline and his contract already paid. I never thought I would say that the Knicks are going to actually listen to a phone call for Julius Randle, but I honestly, at this point, I really think there is, and I think Obi Toppin is kind of pushing that by continuing his like being grumpy every time he gets benched in the fourth. It was apparent on TV last game, which I thought was hilarious because every single time I'm at that game, I'm texting you, Alex, Obi's pissed every single time. And now they finally showed it on camera. So it's very interesting. Like now that media is on this narrative. So you could tell that the door's finally open to there. How we got here, Julius Randle sitting up here in press conferences saying, I've addressed it like he's Marshawn Lynch to every single question. I did not expect to be here, especially after a win. I also didn't expect him to start scoring 2 points and like kind of being. Is he like channeling his inner Kobe? Like, remember in the playoffs when Kobe would just like get all pissed off, like, "Oh, I'm shooting too much," and then he would just not shoot for like 2.5 quarters and pass like 18 times. Like, I thought that's what he was doing a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, okay, whatever. Like, I'll dish if you don't want me to. I'll score 2 points if that's what you want me to do. So like I don't know. Like, you guys tell me, like, what happened? Like, why are we here? Is it like because he was mad people were chanting RJ Barrett's name? Like, it can't be that. It literally cannot be that.
No, I don't think it's that at all. I think what he's getting to or alluding to is that when he got into what the presumption is that when he got into health and safety protocols, people were like blessed, like happy that he went to health and safety protocols because now we get to see what this team looks like. Obi gets minutes. We get to see if RJ can control this team and really just lead us to victories and so forth, and getting all the young guys. And everyone was like hoping that vets would get health and safety protocols. And one, that's just fucked up. Like, I would just no one should be wishing for a guy to get sick. So let's curtail that.
And thankfully he was good, right?
Yeah, thankfully he was good, and he came back. Yeah, asymptomatic, was able to come back soon, and was able to put on a performance against the Boston Celtics that day. Right, we saw 30-point performance between him, and you got your 40-point performance from Evan Fournier. So you're able to come back happy, and then
that's why I don't get what happened. Like, I'm so confused.
He gave the thumb down when everyone was booing the Knicks during that game when they were down by 25, and then they come back and win. And then he gave the thumbs down when they got the lead because everyone's happy. And he's just saying that he doesn't like the criticism. He doesn't like the criticism in that. And this is where I know he's listening to whoever, because he says, I know the game better than anyone else. So he's listening. He's listening to podcasts, the media, so forth. He's listening to all this criticism, and he's upset. Yeah, whoever outside of me, he's listening to everybody else.
I think you're on a long list of people, man. You're on a long list of Knicks media.
I know there's a long list of us that are blocked by Mr. Julius Randle, and that's fine. I don't really care, but I think he's just upset from hearing all the criticism about his game, seeing the lack of effort, all this type of stuff. And that's what I get when you say, this game better than anybody else. It's talking to the criticism of the fan base. And he doesn't like I guess he just doesn't like the fickleness of the fans, where we can just be super high and super low. But that's New York, man. That's how this fan base is. It's not just our fan base, but it's not just our fan base.
I agree with him on that, though. I hate it too.
Yeah. Didn't you guys feel... It's my bad. Didn't you guys feel like when he first got into the protocols, there was that narrative of like Obi's going to come in. We're finally going to get to see Obi, right? But don't you think that it was almost, I thought that was going to be a turning point, because I think what we saw in those few games was pretty sobering, and people started to realize that we definitely do need Julius, right? So like, to me, it's just kind of crazy how quickly his return flipped into a completely different narrative, because I thought that was going to be the turning point. We were going to get maybe not necessarily like a last year's version of him, but I thought we were going to at least be more behind him and things like that. And I don't think he even let that sort of come to fruition, because, and to your point, it could be because of what people were saying to him while he was in protocols. Because if I'm not mistaken, that was his first game back when he was doing the thumbs down. No, or was it his second?
That was his first game back. It was his first game back.
I just think it could have been a different type of turning point, and then he just kind of did something to perpetuate it a little bit or make it even worse.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the thing is that, like, and just to touch on John's like fickleness of like, even out here, like I was talking to like a Boston Celtics fan today. They're like, "Oh, we're the same way," and I know Chicago fans are the same way. Any major market team has those extreme fan bases because it's just so massive. You're gonna get the hyperbole on both sides. Like when it's super high, it's super high. When it's super low, super low. Like we're seeing people in Lakers Twitter just saying, "You want to know how much I'm suffering? I'm a Lakers fan." It's like, yo, you won a chip like 2 seasons ago. Get out of here. All right, like go. It doesn't matter. You still won. Go relax. Like you got LeBron and AD got you your chip. So go relax. But that's like the hyperbole of the nature of like those major markets. But to your point, Steve, I think all the like hearing the criticism from after we went 5-1, we start losing to the Orlando Magic, and you see how we've been so inconsistent from there. I think all of that's just been building up in this pressure of just a lot of noise. And I think If Randle's addressing it, that means he's been listening to it. And if you're listening to it as a player, which is rule number one, don't listen to the fans. Like, we are fans. Like, you can acknowledge us that we're here, say you love playing for the city, you love the fan base,
Yeah, maybe that. Retweet like some content here and there, you know what I mean? But yeah,
help us out, man. Help us out a little bit. You know what it is. But I think once you address the fan base, when you hear all the criticism, you just open yourself up for you just open Pandora's box, because now that you acknowledge that you're listening to us, it's like, not me personally, but the fan base itself is going to amplify by 10, because now when you play bad, you're going to hear it, because now everyone knows you're paying attention. That's the biggest rule, as like, I feel like a player, just don't acknowledge, just don't.
Yeah. It's like, if people start calling you a nickname and then you tell them you don't like it, stop. That's officially your nickname. You know what I mean? And last year he did this huge turnaround based on sort of how we were receiving him the year before. So like, if anything, he showed us, and we're just creatures of habit. He showed us that if we come at him hard on that level, like, he's going to put in the work and he's going to like do what he needs to shut us up. So I guess it's almost like now this time he thought he graduated from that, and he sees that, when we notice the effort and, like you said, a certain percent of the fan base takes it too far. I don't know. I just think he needs to try to react the same way he reacted coming into last season.
I mean, this is growing up in New York City 101, huh?
Oh,
for sure, man. For sure.
You need thick skin to play around here.
For real. It's like a public high school in MSG every
my
game,
God,
man.
And maybe he doesn't like it, dude. He's from Dallas, right? Maybe he doesn't like it.
Yo, South is pretty nice from what I heard. People are friendly down south.
That's crazy. I can't believe we're at this point, but and also it's off a win. All right. But the thing is, he got 2 points and he's yelling. So I wasn't at the game yesterday, but I'm hearing that he was chirping up and down the court the entire game. Like, is he fighting with Tibbs? Is he griping with the fans? Is he griping with the refs? I saw that on TV, but that wasn't that egregious. I don't know. Like, I'm really annoyed that we're talking about Julius Randle. Like, I like right now after a win, and man, we're not like, I know we started with RJ Barrett, so I'm proud of us. You know what I'm saying? But that's just not where the chemistry is right now with the Knicks. You know what I mean? The number one thing right now with the Knicks, no matter if RJ Barrett, we learned if he gets 85 points next game, we're going to be like, all right, but Julius Randle only had 7. Like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Right.
Tell me about it. I was on Knicks fan TV last night, and people wanted to bring up how bad Julius Randle was, when it's like, yo, RJ just went off. Like, we were joking, like, it's RJ day. Like, okay. And like, Ashley asked me, like, am I concerned? Like, do I want to highlight it? I was like, I don't really want to highlight it, but I'm making note that 2 back-to-back games where you've been playing poorly, like, yeah, I'm concerned. Like, I'm legitimately concerned, because if the fans are actually in your head, like, you need to block the fan base out and just go out there and hoop. Like, that's what you're going to do. Like, who cares if fans are going to boo? That's part of the nature of playing in like professional sports. No matter where you go, like, they're going to boo.
Alex, we've had one bad loss. We've had one bad loss. This is a Thunder, and that was like a decade ago. Like, I don't understand. Like, what's the issue right now? That's what's driving me nuts, bro.
The issue is this: people want perfection. Expectations have been raised, and now everyone's like expecting the same, like a higher level of basketball, but at least based on
basketball games, bro. We split with the Celtics. All right, big deal. Right? We lost to the Thunder. That was a dumb loss. Lost to the Raptors. They're a good team. That's it. Like, we beat everybody else. Like, what's the problem? We beat the Pistons. Like, we beat the Celtics. We beat the Spurs. Like, we beat the Pacers. Like, if we beat the Mavericks tomorrow at home, like, everyone just shut up. Like, I don't understand. Like, we're at the beginning of the year, we're just crying. Oh yeah, the team is so nice, everyone's great, but they're losing games. And now we're winning games. It's like, oh yeah, but like, what are we gonna do? How about this guy and his feelings? Like, I'm just annoyed. Like, IQ has done so well the last couple of games. He literally did what we've been begging for. We've been literally crying. I remember Steve here crying with us in the offseason. IQ does not have a mid-range. And all IQ is doing is giving us a mid-range. And he's like the 9th bullet point. You know what I'm saying when we're talking about the Knicks? So it drives me nuts, dude. It really does.
I agree. Like, you weren't here for that Pistons game where you saw like all the starters just lay a freaking goose egg, like everyone just was shit in the bed. And I think it was really that game that really unraveled a lot because you just saw the starters come out with no energy, no effort, and we've been repeating the same thing night in and night out, where you're just seeing lack of energy from your starters, and it's up to the bench to come save the day. And we can't be relying on that. Like that's the fair criticism. We cannot be relying on that if we want to see this team move forward. But there's more issues than just Julius Randle. There's a whole lot of things. This team is not complete. Seriously. And I think everyone's looking for a complete product, but we're just not there yet. And I can acknowledge that. But the one thing for me, especially when I'm watching these games, is that I at least got to see these guys give effort. You know, like you got to at least go out there, play 110%. I know not every single night. Like we're all human. Even at your day jobs, you can't give 110%. There are going to be some nights that you're just out of it, and that's fine. But I can't see you just like especially if you're the leader, just lollygagging, jogging back on defense most of the time. Where sure you did that sometimes last season, but I can remember 80%, 90% of the time you're busting your ass to go make a play on offense or defense. And if I'm not seeing that this season after you got paid, it's a little questionable, like from that standpoint. And I know everyone's not going to have the same production. I'm not even looking for the same production. I'm just looking for effort. And I think that's just like the big thing, my big takeaway. I think a lot of other people are like already trade Randle, do this. And it's like, can we, like, we are still we are just at the halfway point. And
I think as long as, or my bad, you go.
No.
I was just saying, please. As long as he's operating as the number one, I think there's going to be a big percent of the fan base that is not complacent. You know what I mean? They're either going to be taking it out on him, taking it out on Tibbs, taking it out on somebody. And I do think at the start of the year, like, I think you're right that the Detroit game was kind of like the emphasis on, like, put the exclamation mark on it. But I also think part of it was at the start of the year. First of all, I think Mitch being out of shape accentuated like how Julius's lack of effort. You put those two things together, like some of Evan Fournier and Kemba's like defensive shortcomings, and you just are seeing a visible what you're interpreting as like lack of effort, because it's just not a defensive unit, and there's going to be guys standing around, and the way those guys like played together, I think that, Mitch being out of shape definitely played a little bit of a factor at first, but he's been great. So not to put it on him, I'm just saying, like,
no, for sure. And like the thing is, like, this is where we say, like, there's so many things. Like, we could talk about Kemba Walker getting benched because he's not giving his defense and he wasn't as aggressive as on offense. Actually, it's funny, after John left, Kemba became like the most aggressive player I've ever seen in my life. Oh, John, like I text John, I was like, yo, Kemba just dropped 40. He's like, he dropped 40? I was like, yo,
I watched that YouTube video. I had to like the YouTube highlights.
I was like, yo, Kemba just had a triple double. He's like, what? Yeah, I was like, yo, Kemba's doing work right now. Kemba's like facilitating. Then unfortunately at OKC, he couldn't play because of his knee. But and then you have Evan Fournier, who's like on and off. You have, as you said, Steve Mitch.
Wait, don't skip Evan Fournier. Don't skip over, like, don't brush over him like that. Okay. Because we were sitting here. You were done with Evan Fournier. You wanted to put him on the bench, trade him for Lonzo Trier. Like, you're ready to get rid of him. So now you're saying Evan Fournier is okay. He's alive, obviously, versus Celtics. He has revenge games, but let's just throw that out. Like, what do you think about Evan Fournier in this lineup? Because
I'm not a fan of it. I'm just not buying it still. Even though he's had some consistent games and like he played well yesterday, I'm just still not buying it, man. I'm really not buying. I don't think he's I get what he offers. Personally, I just would rather see Grimes out there, just for the sake of just like more defensive intensity. And that's why like defense, shooting, like his shooting is, he's a rookie, so it's not going to be as consistent as you want. But we saw some playmaking from him last night. He got 6 assists. So there's something there. I just want to see it. And the way I look at it, like when you weren't gone, is that, all right, so we have this guy in Evan Fournier. And what is he offering this team if he's not going to be playing at that type of level, if he's going to be this inconsistent? Give me the opportunity to see a young guy develop, because we're not winning anything this year. Just move him along, package him, go send him somewhere. Let me just see these young guys get some valuable minutes. And that's how I still stand that way. I'm still not a fan of the Evan Fournier signing. I can acknowledge that he's been playing well. Like, and if he keep up this level of consistency, that's cool. Like, I'll gladly take my words back. But I'm just not buying, because I've seen him like go off, then go freezing cold, come back, and then go freezing cold, and now we're back again.
Well,
it's just a roller coaster.
Here's the thing, dude. Here's the thing, and I want to get Steve's take on this, because we mentioned Kemba. Obviously, his trade value raised, right, from Christmas till now, even though he was injured and is off the rotation again. We have Fournier, who is in the same boat, right? He's in the rotation, but he also raised his trade value. Obviously, we're talking Randle here. Noel, well, I know you guys mentioned Mitch, so we'll get to that in the back end here. Noel has been disappeared. The trade deadline's February 10th. Like, 8 of those games before, 7 to be exact, are difficult. Man, we're at the Heat, at the Bucks. We have 2 home games versus the Kings and the Grizzlies. Maybe we'll split those. And then we're at the Lakers, at the Jazz, at the Nuggets. We're going to lose a lot of those games. We're going to be dying as a franchise. The GM, the morale is going to be down after those games. Like, where do you think the direction of this team is going?
Well, let me just finish up what I was saying, because you want me to touch on Fournier real quick. I was just going to wrap up.
I want to know if Fournier's going to get traded, man, because if he's saying he's up and down and he's going to have these bad games, he's not going to be good against the Lakers. He's not going to be good against the Jazz. He's going to have a really sour taste in our mouth towards the end here. So do you want to trade him or not?
I do. Before I answer that question, just to finish up what Steve was saying, like, you talk about Kemba, you talk about Fournier being up and down, Mitch being out of shape. Now you got this whole Randle fiasco. You got RJ Barrett, who's been in and out and been inconsistent. I'm just saying that this season as a whole, everyone's just on edge because there's just been so much going on. And if you watch Tibbs, and if you're like on par of that Obi Brigade, shout out to the Obi gang, Obi Avengers for our Blood of Polenta, who just keeps hashtag Obi Avengers in our YouTube channel. Like, if you want him, there's just like so much. There's just so many different things going on with the season. That's why everyone's on edge. I just want to say that. Now, talking to your Evan Fournier, yes, I will trade Evan Fournier.
For what?
Yo, I'll take 2 second rounders, man.
Oh, is he on a 2+1, or is he on a 3-year? Is it 2+1 or it's clean 3?
3+1.
It's
you got 3 years plus a team option.
You're right.
And here's my thing for Evan Fournier. I think like we can still use those draft assets, especially if we have the double draft coming up. I think it's going to have value somewhere down the line. I want to see Grimes play, man. I want to see some of these young guys play. Like, wow. Well, who do you want? Like, if you can tell me, like,
that's like that. I mean, like, the guy, you just said you're good with him, and now you're trading him for 2 second rounders. That's like Trevor Ariza right now. That's what he's going for.
Yo, Fournier was traded for 2 second rounders last season. What are we doing?
I know, but we just paid him. So it's different now.
And
he was traded for that because you had to pay him. Now he has the contract. You know how that works. You know why he was traded for. He was literally a rental for 4 months. That's why he was traded for that little stuff. So what do you
want? A late first rounder?
Steve,
you possibly get a late first rounder?
What do you think, Steve?
I haven't given up on him yet, to be honest with you. I haven't. I mean, again, he's got that Olympic pedigree. He's a world-class player on a level. I'm not trying to gas it too much, like he's a world mover, but I will say I think he's starting to hit his stride a little bit, and I think it also has to do with the chemistry and the team structure, not just him personally struggling. He's clearly not the greatest defender. It's clearly not the best signing we ever made. I can acknowledge that, but he's a microwave, and he can have some special games. And also, I think if we get 15 from him, period, we're good. Like, it's the games that we get like 5 and he's playing like 20 minutes, and that's like a Tibbs punishment game. But either way, if it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes, if he's not scoring, he's literally a liability. And of course, in those situations, I want to see Grimes, and I always want to see Grimes. So it's a bit of a conundrum, but or dilemma, whatever you want to call it. But I will say, I haven't given up on Fournier yet. I think we're about to see, first of all, I think he's kind of a Garden favorite. It's just that he hasn't given us a lot to be, Okay, maybe I'll reword that. He's not a Garden favorite, but when he goes in, like when his shot is falling, he's lighting up the Garden. The energy of the crowd
Oh
is
yeah,
electric. I mean, he's one of those type of guys, and
for sure.
I think there's a place for that. It's just he's not a number two, not at this point in his career. I think it's just guys taking on either being asked to do too much or getting lost in other guys being asked to do too much, like Randle, for example. But
That's fair. No, those are all fair critiques, and I can agree with all of that. For me, like I just really come back down to what are we doing with Evan Fournier? I understand John's point too. Like we paid him. Like there's a value to him now. So if anything, you want to get like the Marcus Morris value of like a late first rounder at minimum, or involve him in like a package deal to upgrade at that position. Like I totally understand that. But I just don't.
Contracts too.
Yeah, and look, I totally get that. I understand that logic 100%. Me, how I'm looking at Evan Fournier, I have not seen a level of consistency. If he can get 15 points, which if he was giving me 15 on a nightly basis, you don't even hear me. I will be quiet. The thing is that he's averaging 15 by going 40, then 8, then 32, and then like 6. And it's like, yo, we cannot have this.
Right.
We can't, because he reminds me of Tim Hardaway Jr., where we were like, okay, cool. Now you're going off. But defensively, like you're picking and choosing what nights you want to defend. And we can't have that. You can't put up 40 and give the other guy 45. Like that doesn't work that way. So, and that's my frustration. I like love Timmy. I knew what Timmy was. He was asked to do. I feel like we keep doing this to guys. We asked him to be players they're not supposed to be. Like Timmy's not supposed to be a second option on a team, but we had him as a second option.
He still thinks he's a second option. So.
He's having a great year for what it's worth. But yeah, to your point, as a second option.
In his role, he's having a phenomenal year. Evan Fournier, not a second option, but we're asking him to be a second option, especially when you look at that contract and you can't bench him. You can't even ask him to come off the bench with that type of contract, because then everyone's just looking at you funny, like, you paid how much for this bench guy? Like he's making Eric Bledsoe money, and Eric Bledsoe is still getting. Granted, he's coming off the bench, but Clippers are like, we didn't pay this guy, so we actually have some leeway to be doing this. But that's why he was starting out in Milwaukee after the extension, and Milwaukee's like, yo, what the hell did we do here? And they moved on from him. So I get it. Like if Evan Fournier turns it around, like I said, I'll take my words back. I am happy to be wrong and happy to pull my word, just to call it out and take it. But as of right now, from what I've seen, like just a couple of good games doesn't get me back on this Evan Fournier wagon. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
I have a question for you guys. And it's basically Emmanuel, or damn it, I kind of just tipped my hand a little, but I was going to say, what do you guys think about our starting point guard situation? Because I think it's important to touch on that too. You guys riding with Burks? You guys want to see IQ start? Do you guys want to see McBride? What do you want? Like, because that's a huge question. You know what I mean? Like that's until we answer that, it's hard to not be like super excited.
Like the Da Vinci Code, bro. My whole life, this has been the question: who's going to be the starting point guard?
For real.
So how do you feel, John?
It can't be IQ, because I love him off the bench, and we saw when he starts, he's just not the same. Doesn't really mold into that situation. Alec Burks is a nice band-aid. But, I mean, honestly, if you want to ask me how to fix his team, we trade Randle for Dame Lillard. You trade Randle, you get a point guard, you throw Obi in there. If you want to tinker to try to get Miles Turner, by trading Noel somehow. But I don't know if Carlisle and Noel are friends. So I don't think that's going to happen. He's straight up sued the Mavericks. So I don't know what's going on, over there. But like, that's the only situation I could see that our point guard situation is going to be fixed. Other than that, man, you just band-aid up with Alec Burks. IQ comes in off the bench. McBride, whenever there's a chance. Hopefully D Rose comes back rejuvenated, with that ankle. And then you just, maybe do a plug and play with whatever you can get, in the trade deadline, eat up some money. But it's unless you trade for Dame Lillard for like Randle or some blockbuster deal, it's just not going to happen.
What about
De'Aaron Fox? Yeah. I mean, if you want to send Randle to NBA hell, to NBA purgatory rather in Sacramento, you can do that and maybe get De'Aaron Fox. But if we get Buddy Hield, I'm going to have bad thoughts. We might have to send someone to my house for a wellness check if we get Buddy Hield.
It would not be Buddy Hield, even though he has a declining contract. It'd probably be Marvin Bagley, which is not.
I don't mind taking Marvin Bagley with
like
a Halliburton, or a Fox. But
yeah, if we got Fox and then just like took a gamble on a future or like a former top, what was he, number one pick, right?
I want Rashawn Holmes all day, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
You want
we'll
the whole Kings roster, basically.
No, honestly, if we can get one of them. I mean, they have too many guards. They know that. We know that. If I get Buddy Hield, I will have aneurysms. I can't get Buddy Hield on the squad. He would ruin.
What do you have against Buddy Hield, man? I want to know this.
He would do nothing on this team. He would just be another Nick point guard. He would just be the typical, stereotypical, terrible Knicks point guard who's not a point guard.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what he would be. He would just be a guy who's he's good off the dribble. Maybe we'll get a double. We'll dish out. Him and RJ, it's gonna be sick. Like a shooting guard. Like it's gonna be terrible. I don't want Buddy Hield anywhere near this team.
Well, just to let you know, John, Buddy Hield. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, please no. I don't really like if Buddy Hield was like our shooting guard, like a true shooting guard, I'd have no problem. But for the point guard question, like I like Emmanuel quickly coming off the bench right now because I think he's still growing as a point guard. I don't think he can necessarily have that full command of the off. Like when you're the starting point guard, there's a level of command that you need to have, and he's just not quite there yet, especially when you got to attack the teeth of the defense. He doesn't really have a layup package. We're starting to see his mid-range come through. He's finding guys, he's playmaking, doing a better job at that, but he's getting better. There's a difference of getting better and being ready to do all those things at a starting level. And he's showing that he's making those type of improvements. I could be optimistic saying, hey, maybe one day he can be that type of starting point guard for this team that we've been dying for. And you see during summer league, Tibbs coaching him on the court after games, like, hey, look for this, do all this, X, Y, and Z. And it seems like Tibbs is highly invested in him to develop that playmaking skill, to have that type of point guard play. But as of right now, I like him coming off the bench. I think he orchestrates the bench really well. I think he's a good leader for that bench when you have Grimes, when you have Obi Toppin, and you see Taj gives him that leeway to be that type of facilitator, to be that playmaker. I think he works really well with that unit. I think when you start promoting him up to that top unit, they look for him to be a scorer. And it's just tough because we need someone to actually orchestrate that offense. And even when you're watching Alec Burks, he's a good, like, I agree with John, he's a fine Band-Aid because he has some moves he can get lost in his own sauce for a little bit, but
he's just the guy from Like Mike, dude. He's just the guy. He's just the guy from
really
Like Mike. He looks exactly like him. He plays like him. Like he needs a star. He's literally, I don't know what the guy's name is. He's literally the sidekick from Like Mike.
And the other thing is, like, he offers, I think, more consistent scoring than IQ too, to be in that starting unit. So I'm okay with that. He's not a good playmaker. He'll have some nights, but I'd rather take that and let IQ thrive in that with that second unit. And then let's look at next year. Like if he can take that next step next year, then for sure throw him in there with those lineups, or even do it now, like when you have those good matchups to do so. But I'd rather see IQ thrive with that bench unit for now, because I think he has a better command, and let Alec Burks just be this utility man that he is. Even though I like Burks coming off the bench too, and just being a off-ball scorer.
Yeah, that's when he's a flamethrower. That's my only thing is like his production has fallen off, like purely on like a personal level, like, statistics, like since he's been asked to take on this role. Like he hasn't had a big game really in a long time. I mean, the 34-point game was huge, but this was like his first solid game. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I feel like if we want to kind of get that back, it's just an idea. I agree. I totally think what you guys are saying is valid, but it is something I've been thinking for a while, like long before this little recent stretch where it's kind of becoming popular to be like start IQ again. I just think it would be interesting. It could potentially give us a spark, I think, but it would require shifting Evan Fournier to a bench role, but letting him, and I know that's probably not going to, go over that well. It's a political thing, but I think if he was able to try to go off the bench, I think he could be more playing more like he's accustomed to, like how he was in Orlando, at least for spurts, for stretches, instead of kind of just getting lost in watching a lot of ISO from Julius, etc. I don't know. And I like what we saw from IQ when in the first quarter of that Celtics game. I mean, it's one quarter, so let's not like hang our hat on it, but he was spreading the rock. He had some nice assists, like not even just, like some of them were flashy, some of them were nice, savvy, extra passes. He hit RJ in that corner. He did that extra pass to Mitch, like for the dunk. Like, I don't know. I think Burks is kind of suffering in that role, but I agree with you that he's a good band-aid and it's getting the job done. I would like to see IQ try and fall flat on his face, and then we could just,
we saw that.
Back away from that, put it back to like how it was.
That already,
I think we did see it without Randle. Like this is when, especially against the Raptors, without Randle. Like,
that's not fair, though.
I know it's not fair.
How about beginning of the year? IQ tried it out too.
But you can grow after from the beginning of the year. Like you can make those changes as you grow on from now. Like you can add stuff. Like look, we didn't see as much. He popped out that mid-range game quite a few times yesterday. I was like, oh, right. Okay. We didn't see this at the beginning of the season. So I'm fine with like letting it try. And like, yeah, it's not fair to say like without Randle, what could he do? I just feel like I really like him with that. Like that second unit is just bad, man. Like if there's no IQ, it is bad. Like we're like McBride. I love McBride, and I thought Houston was like a good showing for him. And then it comes out like against Toronto. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And Tibbs is not even trusting him right now. So who do we have to go run that second unit if we have no Derrick Rose? Like if we had Derrick Rose, I'd say, okay, let's give this thing a try. Because at least
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Rose with Fournier. Like that can't be that bad. Come on. No, you think it would be terrible?
I think you just have Rose, Grimes, and Burks, and you could put quickly with that start if you really wanted to. I know it's rough.
They're not going to start.
That's the only reason.
That's the thing. They're not going to.
That's the thing.
When you say it out loud, it sounds so bad.
It's just we don't have that guy.
You're just
we
not
don't
going to
have
start
that
like
guy.
Rose.
That's it. We don't have that guy.
We just don't have a Rose though. Yeah.
No,
it's exactly that, Steve. We don't have that guy.
An ankle injury, bro. Forget him. He's not gonna come back. Like
he's not starting, and that's the thing. He's not gonna start coming off that ankle. He's gonna be like, "Yo, man, I really need my 20-25 minutes, and that's it. Like, yo, let quick do this." Yeah, like. And that's the crazy part. We got two guys, Kemba and D Rose. We're like, all right, we're situated. If one goes out, we got the other, and the other one will come back. We're in purgatory when it comes to the point guard.
Guys,
man. It is.
All right. Are we trading Randle before this deadline?
No.
The only way. Okay, go ahead.
The only way we're trading Randle is if he asks for it, and it really gets to like a tipping point, like on the fan base level, where it is just so gross. Even then, I don't think you could trade him, man. I really just don't think you could trade. I think you really have to tell him, like, yo, dude, you got to suck this thing up. You made your own bed with this. And
for real. I think he'd have to secretly request a trade, probably for them to
secret. There's no secret right now, man. He's George Costanzing it up as much as possible. There's no secret.
For sure. And I don't know. I mean, it's a little unrelated, but quick. I just want to say, like, it's crazy how much his emotions have taken over this year. Because I mean, I know we saw the emotion last year, but we saw it in a different light, and we loved that sort of side of it. But there's this other side too, and it is very him against the world right now. And I feel like he's approaching all aspects of his game that way right now, and it's just there. He felt a little toxic out there yesterday. Just watching and just seeing what everyone else succeed around him.
The interview today was crazy.
So it's possible. It's possible, but I don't think that. Sure. I think we tough it out, and at worst case we reassess next year. That's like the smart sort of, I don't know, man.
Steve, I cannot have a whole year of what's been going on in the last week. This is my only caveat. I don't care who you are. I can't do this from January to April. And then, God forbid, I win the playoffs. I'm going to have to deal with this in the playoffs too. And then you're signed on for a bunch of years. We just signed you to an extension. So, honestly, if this is not going to shape up within the next 3 weeks, honestly, like, this is my probation period. I really don't care. Like, you just can't be toxic. I can't have this every single game. The press conferences are ridiculous. I know Dolan is fuming. I know he is. He does not like that. He does not like when players suck with the media. He does not like that Randle gave the finger to the fans. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he doesn't like
thumbs
any
down,
of
not the
things.
finger. Thumbs down, not the finger.
Might as well have been.
Might as well have been the finger, really.
Honestly, it might as
Might
well
have been
because
better.
he did say shut the F up. Like you
Exactly,
did say that.
whatever.
Like
yeah, like I'm at this point we're mincing words. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah,
I don't know. That's how I feel. That's how I feel with that. Let me just before we jump into the schedule. We mentioned Mitch, we mentioned Noel, and Steve mentioned Taj too. So props to Taj and Mitch, man. We're this is the thing, we flip flop all over the place, right? Because at this point, if we trade Mitch, like what do we have? Like even if we trade him for Miles Turner, I'd be worried at this point. So
oh my god, another guy that's also injury prone too, Miles Turner.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So I'd be worried about that. Like at this point, if Noel goes, fine, but we can't get rid of Mitch, can we?
Yeah, no, there's no way.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and people have been saying like they hate the Noel contract, like that we paid him too much. Once again, if you're saying Randle was just doing business, Penn Noel was also doing business after what he gave us last season, being a defensive anchor, leading it to be the fourth best defensive team.
And the poor guy deserves it, bro. He got screwed by the NBA, its agents, and nonsense. Like,
man,
guy.
like
his story.
He deserved a little bag at some point.
I'm not, and like I'm not gonna hate over Noel that much for his contract. But it just stinks, man, because if he hasn't played and it's like the knee, he was in health and safety protocol. We don't know why he must have had COVID, or we don't know if he was resting more because he was out longer than usual and he's still resting. They say he's questionable to come back this weekend. It's it's tough because we need another center, and Taj Gibson, as much as I like Taj, being the vet that he is,
dude,
like it's just tough.
We honestly don't beat the Spurs without Taj Gibson. Mitch could not guard Potel. I know I can't ever get his name right, but Patel's a beast, and he couldn't guard him. And without Taj Gibson, we honestly would have lost yesterday, even if Noel was healthy. So I don't know.
Honestly, it took both of them because Mitch was doing a good job on like the offensive glass. He had Taj doing a good job on. They're both like filling each other's gaps that they weren't covering very well. But no, I agree with you, man. And like trading wise, well, since we're talking about trading, let's talk about Jeremy Grant. Let's talk about Cam Reddish. We already knew because Shams reported yesterday. Today is Tuesday, January 11th. We're now at 8:13 p.m. Yesterday was reported by Shams Charania that the Knicks are interested in Miles Turner, which we already knew, and Jeremy Grant. And today from SNY, thanks to Ian Begley, we now are getting rumors that the Knicks are also interested in Cam Reddish. So, guys, going to ask you this right now. Do you want either Jeremy Grant or Cam Reddish on this team? And if so, what would you be willing? Who would you trade? What type of trade would you do? Give me just some sort of like eyeball trade that you do to get one of these guys. Steve, since you're our guest, I'll have you go first.
All right, I'll say that the rumors are definitely interesting. It's good to hear quality names. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get, and I think there has been some Russell Westbrook smoke, but I really pray that, and I know they're not going to go down that route. But my point is, like, we're hearing some solid names. I like those guys. You know, they give you something on both sides of the ball. Jeremy Grant showed us in the playoffs that he's for real. He's not the number one guy, but he's the one of the two that I would give more for. Obviously, I think that's a given. Depends with Cam on the price range. If we're talking like, I don't know. I mean, there's no way they're going to take the Neuros deal, but like if it's something that gets one of our vets, you know, moved and we have this young, like sort of exciting player that is electric with RJ and has been in the past, like that would be pretty cool. So if it costs us like a Burks, it would be painful. It would be painful. I love Burks, but those are the types of players I'm looking maybe to attach some picks to. I don't want to give up quickly. Obi, those guys, not for Cam Reddish personally. Those guys make sense in a Jeremy Grant trade, not both of them, hopefully, but you know, I could see us giving up Obi in a trade like that if it's not to get rid of Randle. If it is to move Randle, obviously Obi is still kind of in that logjam situation, maybe, or maybe they slide Jeremy Grant to the 3 more often. That would be cool. So, yeah, I guess I'd give up like a package centered around Randle for Jeremy Grant if it wasn't too costly for us outside of that. And for Cam Reddish, probably some of our older vets that are on sort of, those middle contracts.
Okay, John, what are you thinking, man?
Honestly, IQ, Obi, all these people are off the table for these two guys. Even Randle, they're off the table. Like, I know Jeremy Grant, he's really good, and they're gonna want Randle, but if that's what it is, then I'm sorry. Like, we'll talk later. Like, if we're talking Jeremy Grant, like, we're starting with Fournier and we're adding to that. Like, for me, like, that's just my phone call. Like, we could throw in Sims for you.
Like that.
We can throw in some picks for you. We can add some other players that you might like, might intrigue you. But I'm not giving you IQ or Obi or Randle for these guys. I understand why you'd want Randle if you're Jeremy Grant, right? But that's just not where my head's at with these guys. Cam Reddish would be nice to have. If you're doing Grant, you're gonna need Fournier's contract, so that would be a swap. Grant will be fantastic on this team, especially with no Fournier, right? Because they will just be able to bump everyone up a little bit, right? It'll just be RJ and Grant plus Randle.
Wings.
Yeah, so that's team.
Yeah, so like that could work. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. There would be great additions, but I'm not getting rid of our premium players for them. I'll even give them like McBride if they want, you know what I mean, for Grant. You know what I'm saying? Like one of those guys, like plus a pick or something, but they're not getting.
What if it had to be Grimes? Would you do it?
Good Lord.
For Grant, I mean, here Fournier and Grimes for Jeremy Grant, yeah, like you do that. You know what I mean?
I'd do it.
That's a real player. He plays defense. He's a real wing. He has his contract. There's no issues. You know what I mean? He's not a head case. Like everything's fine. You got to do that. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to win now or within the next 5 years, that's Grimes is more of a project kind of guy. You know what I mean? Grant is right here, right now. Like, let's do it. You know?
Right.
Yeah. I think my thing with Grant is that, like, he's played most of his career at the power forward. I know he can play at the wing. He did that out in Denver. He came in as a wing too. I don't really consider him as a bona fide wing to make that type of move for. And I would want like a bona fide wing. I think he's good defensively. I think he's a good role player. But if I'm upgrading at the wing, I really want to upgrade at the wing. You know what I mean? So when I look at Jeremy Grant, even though I don't think it's a realistic trade, it'd probably be like, I would rather move Julius Randle to bring in Jeremy Grant just because I feel like it's just the quality of player you're going to have to surround Grant with. Like, let's keep in mind when he was out in Denver and he was like looking good, he had Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and that whole squad out there. That was looking pretty good. And we don't have that type of caliber of player.
You can keep him with Obi and like my stupid brain, like, and if we're trading Randle,
it'd be very athletic.
If we're trading Randle for like Lillard, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? You have Dame, RJ, Grant, Obi, and like Mitch. Like that's a 5 that I could rock with, and it's like not that crazy. Or if it's Fox, right? Like Fox.
I think Fox would be more realistic for a younger squad.
Okay, that's
like
fine.
That.
Yeah, so like Fox, RJ, Grant, Obi, and like Mitch. That's a playoff team to me.
Yeah, no, it's a good. It's definitely a good team too. I just don't. I think Grant, as much as I like Grant as a player, I don't think it's realistic unless you're. The thing is, if they're not going to move Randle, which I don't see why Detroit will want Randle too, because they're going really, really young. That's my thing. So Randle,
though, bro. If we call Detroit, Isaiah Stewart better be on that call.
Yo, if we're doing a package deal to get Isaiah Stewart, John's got me on the Isaiah Stewart train.
I'll buy a jersey.
I'll
buy a jersey tomorrow. I'm like almost done buying jerseys. I think, but
he
I'm
won me over.
The
fact that he ran like a crazy man to go get LeBron James, he won me over. So
for sure,
even though that wasn't right, but he won me over doing that wildness. But I don't think Jeremy Grant is that realistic. I think Cam Reddish is like really realistic to upgrade at the wing. I think that would involve a trade around like Evan Fournier, just to add someone like solid.
Those contracts are like so far off.
It's a package deal that you're getting with Reddish, man. There's got to be someone else.
It's on Kevin Knox, bro. Like, all right, you guys want Reddish?
I would not be surprised if Kevin
here's Knox. What else do you guys want? Like, what are you talking about, Evan Fournier, guys? Like, we're talking Cam Reddish, bro. Like if like that's what if I'm
But then they're gonna want somebody back. Then you're gonna say, hey, we're gonna take Cam Reddish. Here's Quentin Grimes. Here's Deuce McBride. You have to give one of
No,
those
those
guys
guys
up,
are
which
way
is
better. Like Cam Reddish
no,
has gotten his chance. You know what I mean? He's on the
yeah.
decline. He's
But
Cam Reddish is more to Atlanta. Cam Reddish is more seen like Kevin Knox than
for
he
sure.
is to Grimes. You know what I'm trying to say from their perspective.
Yeah,
So
no,
you have
I
to
get
see it
that.
like that as well.
Mhm.
No, I get that. But the thing is, like, if you're going to trade one of those young players, you're probably giving an asset too as a draft pick to go get him back because you're saying, hey, we see this guy as a valued player where we don't need a draft pick. We don't want to waste a spot on another player that we want to develop. We already see growth from this guy, which he has shown growth, like from the games that he's gotten. And I would take that swing on Cam Reddish, especially using him off the bench as a good wing. But that's just the way I'm thinking. The deal for Cam Reddish would be interesting. I don't know how high Atlanta values Cam Reddish and what they want to get back because they even put him down in the G League for a little bit. Like
I'm saying
they don't
he's
they haven't given really
Knox
a lot of chance. Yeah,
like they're not giving Fournier, bro.
Last time they put somebody in the G League, though, we gave him 75 mil or whatever, right? Tim Hardaway.
Dude, we pay all the G League players, right? Hashtag Alonzo Trier.
For sure.
Okay. This guy's just attacking me left and right today. Great.
I got you twice on Trier today.
Oh, you're a Trier stan?
I am. I can't even get a 10 day when they're handing out 10 days to Dirk Nowitzki, bro.
Damn.
Dirk Nowitzki.
You still can't get
Yo,
one.
Dirk, can you come out of retirement real quick? Nah, man. Like, yo, when I saw him on the court for his ceremony, congrats to Dirk Nowitzki. I was like, yo, you are dad bod right now. You are full on
Right?
dad bod. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate your service to the NBA. But man, this has been good stuff, guys. This has been a lot of good stuff. Let's wrap this thing up and get into the schedule. Let's see, because we are going to get back on. So, John, how do you want to do this? Since we're going to be changing up the schedule,
talking about it, I don't know, because I'm going to be I'm taking 25 family members to the Hornets game for the Martin Luther King Day, so we could wrap up after that. But I know we're having a Knicks fan TV event the next day for the Timberwolves game, so we'll be at that as well. So I don't know when do you want to come back and do this? You want to come back after the Timberwolves?
Should we come back Sunday? Just get something for the week ready, like something like that, and then
we'll see. Let's do the schedule. Let's just do the schedule right now, for at least the next 4 or 5 games, just to see where, because I want to know what Steve thinks right now. Let's go up to the end of our homestand.
Okay.
Up and just to the Clippers. Let's see. That's a lot of games, but let's see what our outlook is going to be, because there's a lot of turmoil. We've been talking about turmoil, all week. So let's see what's going to satisfy us, right? We got 6 games until next Sunday, the 23rd. Let's see. What do you guys think is going on here? We start with the Mavericks, and then we go to this daunted Hawks team. Maybe that's when we start looking at Cam Reddish, see what he can do. Maybe look at our players.
For sure.
Right? Maybe Alec Burks goes off. They're like, all right, we'll take him. Maybe we do a little bit of that. And then we got the Hornets and Timberwolves, which we just mentioned we'll be at. Tapped off with the Pelicans Knicks, which was a crazy game last year when they came to town. But Zion may or may not be back. Probably not. And then Sunday, 1:00 Clippers at home. That just sounds scary to me. We're never ready. We're not going to be ready for that game. But anyway, what do you guys think, man? What do you think, Alex?
I'll just say this before. I don't think Alec Burks is going to get traded, man. I think he offers too much being one of our best isolation scorers, that if we get rid of him off this team really takes a drop.
Yeah,
I think that man's safe personally. So Burks Hive, guys who are out there calling him MJ, keep posting, retweeting photos of him and his wife doing, I think it was their wedding or like whatever, their engagement photos. Don't worry, guys. I think you guys are safe. But looking at this slate of games, I'm going to take a win against the Mavericks coming up first. KP is already out. He's been reported not to play that game.
No.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Oh, that changes everything. I really wanted to go to the Garden tomorrow. I thought KP was going to be there.
KP is not going to be there. Who else was there? Someone else was reported. Everything. Yeah, I think someone else was reported that they're not going to be playing tomorrow against the Knicks. I think it may have been Timmy, but I know KP is out for sure. KP is out for sure tomorrow, so you're not going to see KP. No bloodbath there. So I think it's going to be a win against the Mavs at home. We've been doing really well. We're on a 4-game winning streak, winning at home too. I think we keep it rolling, take them down there. I think we also go down to Atlanta. I think we go and beat Atlanta because Atlanta's down bad too. I think they're a struggling team.
Yeesh.
Yeah. They look like a struggling team. Do not get fooled by this team when they got hot for the playoffs last season. This team, look, there's a good team in there. They just haven't found it yet, but it ain't there right now. These guys are struggling.
Find the versus the Knicks.
If we were home, I would say more so likely, but we even beat them at home. But I think we still, once again, take it down to we go down to Atlanta and win because we beat them down there before with Trae Young. Okay. We beat them without Trae Young for Christmas Day. He probably wants to come back and go off because he wasn't there for Christmas Day. Everyone's saying F Trae Young after the game, even though he didn't play. Guys, you're all too wild for that. Come on now. But I think he's going to try to give a good performance, but I still think the Knicks come out with a win. This game, coming back home against the Hornets, I'm calling that one an L. I'm sorry you're going to be there, John. I just think
I can't have an L. I can't have an L. I don't care. That's LaMelo. I cannot have an L. That my whole family, like 25, I'm going to get killed for that. They have to win this game.
I hope so.
It's awesome that you're doing that, though.
But I hope so.
Hey,
they better win this game, Steve.
I know they at least have Oubre currently. You know, I like Oubre. You know, that's my guy, low key. Yeah. I think we should have signed him because he's only making 12 mil.
Oh my goodness,
he's only making 12 mil. But yeah. Anyway,
this game is screaming an Oubre blow up.
Oh yeah. But he's in protocols. But it's what 7 days from now, 6 days. If he's gonna be back, he's gonna be back.
If he comes back, if he's asymptomatic, test negative twice, and he's back for that day, I'm calling it Oubre just stupid bonkers game.
When did he get put on? When did he get put on?
John's doing the calculations. You're like, I cannot have this.
Well, because you know, I mean, my tinfoil hat is on at this moment. I mean, the CDC and the NFL. Come on. I mean, all of a sudden we have less than 1 week of protocols right before playoffs. So come on, just tell me, was it before Monday? Because that's how I do my calculations. It's just everything is around football. So it's 1 week. So if it's Monday, he could still play if it's a Sunday, Monday game, which is what we have here. When did he go on? Do you know? You don't know? Yeah. You don't know what day?
You're asking me on Oubre? I'm saying I think he went in yesterday or the day before, so he will be back.
Okay,
that's
we're
17th.
Yeah, we're iffy. If it's Sunday,
unless he's symptomatic or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's iffy, so we'll see what happens there. I don't know, dude. Bridges went off on us last time.
Yeah, I'm worried about Bridges for sure.
Yeah,
LaMelo, Bridges obviously.
LaMelo's a blockbuster, man, and just that team's good.
We should have given up Mitch for LaMelo. That Mitch for the second pick.
Man,
we didn't want to do that.
Man.
All right, so Alex, for the first three, you have us at 2-1.
Yep, and then Minnesota.
Hold on, Steve. What do you guys for the first three?
I got 3-0, baby. I got 3-0.
Let's go.
I'm going 3-0, bro. I'm going 3-0.
All right. I'm gonna go win at home versus the Mavericks, especially with no KP. I'm gonna go revenge loss at Atlanta on a Saturday night because we beat them on Christmas. And then I'm betting with my heart. I'm going with my heart. 1:00 on a Monday after a travel day on a Sunday. I don't care. We better beat the Hornets on Martin Luther King Day, which I know we're not going to, but we better. So I need to be 2-1 there. And Alex, I'll let you finish off with the three. We got Timberwolves at the Knicks. We got the Pelicans at the Knicks. Then we got the Clippers at the Knicks. Finish off this homestand. What do we got?
Yeah, man. Minnesota.
We're going to be there, bro.
We're going to be there.
First game
I hope
together.
it's a win. First game together. KJE in the building. Jeez, man. This is going to be a tough one. It's so tough because we didn't face Cat. We did not face Cat either.
Or D'Angelo, right?
Or D'Angelo or Anthony Edwards.
And we still almost barely won.
And we still almost blew that game. Oh, man. Depending on how, and this is a back-to-back. Goodness.
I have a really tough time calling losses when I go, and especially when they're bad teams, even though I know.
Sure, because you don't want to be there for a loss, man.
But I mean, but I go all the time. They have to lose a lot, so I go all the time. It's on me. So I'm with you, but I need a win.
I don't feel
I
good.
need a win here.
I need a win too. I need a win too. I hope it is.
I need
a win.
to go 2-0. I'm gonna split, obviously, but
bro, there's no
to go
way
2-0.
on a back-to-back that they're winning both games. This is not that team from last season.
Yeah.
This is not that team.
At least they have at least one
They
of them
have to
at
win
1
one.
p.m.
You're gonna
though.
get one win. I'll tell
I
you
need
that.
two. I need two, Alex.
If you get two, we're sending you to the Garden every single night, bro. That's what we're doing from here on out.
I don't know. I wouldn't do that, dude. I would not do that. I mean, the only one I don't feel confident right now is about the Hornets, but we'll see the roster they pull out. We can beat the Timberwolves, man. Come on, the Minnesota Timberwolves, A-Rod's team.
For sure. We can. But D'Angelo has been in this bag, man. He's been getting like double doubles left and right, which is not.
We're stuck on this Timberwolves
does.
game for a reason. We're
Yeah,
stuck on this
I know.
Timberwolves. Oh man!
All right,
All
fine.
right.
Okay.
I'm fine. Because the Pelicans has to be a win.
That
Like,
has to be. That
has to be a win.
It's the
The
Josh
Clippers
Hart,
is going to be a
basically.
loss. The Clippers are going to be a loss.
Yeah, Paul George's gonna be
It's
in the
it's
bag.
really the Timberwolves. It's really between the Timberwolves and the Hornets game for me that I'm like, it's a toss up. I feel like I don't want to put bad energy out there. I'm going to say it's a win against the Timberwolves. I'm going to be that nice guy. I'm going to say we're going to beat the Timberwolves. So it goes win against the Mavericks, win against Atlanta, L against the Hornets, win against the Timberwolves, win against the Pelicans, L against the Clippers. So Steve, what do you got?
I like that. I think you're probably right, to be honest with you. But I'm going 6-0, bro. I'm still going 6-0.
Let's go.
This is the
Let's go.
turnaround, man. It's
Let's
time,
go.
bro.
I
And
love
this
it.
might age like milk, but we'll see. We'll see, bro.
I love
And
it.
I even think we might go into Cleveland right after that. You know, I don't want to foreshadow too much, but yeah, man, we just gotta build.
I love it.
Hey,
Good
we
thing we
know
brought
there's
Steve
a
on. We
good
need the
version of
optimism.
this team.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not gonna look. This is all I want to say is like these teams are the types of teams we'll probably come out sometimes with a lackluster effort, but then when it gets harder, we've seen ourselves step up against some of those teams and at least raise our level of competitiveness and things like that. So I don't know. We just got to find a way to do it against some of those guys, and then that next stretch, I at least think we'll see, this team fighting and clawing in a way we haven't seen for some time. And that's what we've been sort of, booing and second guessing a little bit. Yeah, exactly.
To be honest,
John,
that's what I was a little worried about with the Pelicans, because like I think we're gonna beat the Mavericks, lose to the Hawks, beat the Hornets and Wolves, and my optimistic brain. And if we're sitting there, the Pelicans is a typical Knicks loss. Typical Knicks loss. Nobody coming to town, nobody playing, and we just stink. Like we go like 6 for 47 from three. Like that is so typical for us. So
For sure.
I'm gonna go. I don't think we're gonna beat the Clippers at 1:00 on Sunday. That is, I don't care where the Clippers are gonna be. I don't care what their record is. I don't care what their schedule is. We're gonna lose that game. That just feels like an L. So I'm gonna go 4-2. I'm gonna go 4-2 because I don't know.
We're all four. I think. Well, besides
Three.
Steve,
No,
who's 6-0.
3. Yeah, well, yeah, I know.
I'm 6-0, but I
6-0.
believe 4-2 is realistic. But I'm just being a little ridiculous.
4-2, 4-2. But the Pelicans game is really my whether or not we're going to be 500, and that's going to be a mental toughness game, because I think that if especially if we beat the Hornets and Wolves, and we had a hard game in Atlanta, whether we won or lost, I think this is a typical, like, who cares about the Pelicans? They have nobody. We get the Clippers next game and we lose. So I got 4-2. And with the Pelicans being my don't know.
Yeah. I got 4-2 as well, and it's the Hornets my end. Which could also be the Timberwolves, but
hope you're so wrong.
I hope I'm wrong too, for your sake, man. We don't need your family being like, why do you root for this team?
Oh my god. I'm already bracing for it, especially because we have to wake up early because it's a 1:00 in the Garden. So realistically, you got to leave your house at like 10.
Yeah, it's true. Those day games definitely make for some interesting mornings. But
It's
no,
like a baseball. It's like when the Yankee game's like, oh yeah, it's at 1, great, but then that means I have to like be up at like 9:30 having breakfast
and
like,
go to the Bronx. Yeah.
For me, it's fine, but I already know. I'm already waiting for even my parents to go into this game. Dude, it's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a tough one to swallow. If LaMelo does something crazy too, it's gonna be a tough one to swallow.
That's gonna be rough. That's gonna be rough. But yo, on that note, I think this was a fun pod, guys. Steve, thank you for coming on, man, and joining us. Please let our listeners know where they can find you and all your material, my man.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys for having me on. It's always a pleasure. You know, I'm always down. So we got to do it again sometime soon. As far as where they can find me, definitely check out Spacely Media on Twitter, on Instagram at Spacely Media. You know, I'm putting out a few series now. I'm doing a lot of different covers, all types of stuff, you know, sporadically. But you know, the staple is Bacher back pages, and we're just dying for the Knicks to give us some back page worthy performances, because you know I got some heat ready. But yeah, man, check it out, and you know, or you could just see my stuff on Reddit sometimes, usually the morning after a game. Yeah, man. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, I just want to ask you quickly, but there's like this account now that started following people, including me earlier, and it's the official Twitter of Knicks Reddit. You think it's legit? Or you think it's just like a clout chaser?
We'll see, man. We'll see. If it's a clout chaser, it's getting the unfollow.
Yeah, same, exactly. But yeah, anyway, you know where to find me, man. Always a pleasure. So let's do it again sometime, man. Definitely.
Appreciate it, bro. And yo,
every 6 months.
Every 6 months, man. This man's coming back on. So we'll hear from Steve when the offseason comes around, and we'll get his takes from what he thinks on the season overall. But everyone, thank you for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, Etc. podcast. You know what to do. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and to leave a comment if that's where you listen to us. Or if you listen on Spotify, make sure to give us a 5-star rating on there as well. But if you don't listen to us on any of those platforms, it's okay. We're on Stitcher, Amazon Alexa, you name it, we are there. On top of that, we're also on the YouTube channel, so you get to see these beautiful mugs on the YouTube. So make sure to go over to Knicks, Jets, etc. Knicks, Jets, etc. Look for that page, hit the subscribe button, watch these videos, hit the like button, and hit that notification bell. That way you know when a new episode drops. Also, while you're over there, we got Winning Picks Weekly. John and video producer Greg go down the NFL slate. They're going to be doing playoffs, I presume. Right, guys? You are doing playoffs. And they're about to do some NBA betting as well. So make sure to go over there and check it out. They had a killer week last week. These guys, John's, like you said, he's back from Africa. You can see the board clearly.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas
Raiders. We needed the Raiders so bad. Thank God for the Raiders.
We're going to send John out to Vegas because he sees the board so clear and make this money for this podcast. You know what it is.
We don't need to go to Vegas anymore, man. Sports betting legal in New York. Let's go.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Make sure to bet responsibly, too. Make sure to bet responsibly. And last but certainly not least, please make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We are there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Knicks episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. We'll catch you later this week. We out.
Let's go Knicks.